First time I ever tried to write this down. First time telling anyone outside the family. I'm leaving out time and location and some of the details because I'm still scared of what might happen with it publicly, I guess. Summer before 8th grade, me and 2 of my friends snuck out at midnight to go walk around the neighborhood and go see these girls on the next block who were having a sleepover. We turn a corner in our neighborhood and there's this huge black blimp-shaped thing in the sky, like the pictures of the Hindenburg, but bigger than that, and as close, if not closer, completely silent, and the size of at least 4 to 5 football fields across, no exaggeration. We stare at it entranced, asking each other over and over again if we see it, which we all agree that we do, standing there, frozen in one place. It's like black polished gunmetal, no lights, no sound, no anything. And then I don't know what happened, but time clearly jumps. Next thing I remember is the craft, ship, government experiment, whatever the hell it is, has gone, and there's a tiny glowing white barbell thing in the sky, seemingly slowly falling to earth, with wisps of smoke coming off it. Then 2 brand new black trucks with silver gearboxes on the back, like F-150s or S-10s but nicer, came speeding down the street, going about 70 in a residential 25 miles per hour neighborhood. Then after that I remember walking home to one of my friends' houses and going to bed. At that point it was like 5 or 6 a.m. and the sun was coming up. We all made a promise to tell my dad in the morning because he worked for the city, but we never did. I don't know what happened later in life to one of my friends who was there, but the other was my best friend, and we sort of made an unspoken pact never to talk about it. Don't know how or why we did that. We all grew up, and I sort of lost touch with him too. We did reconnect over Facebook and such over the years, but it was like there was something between us neither of us wanted to touch or talk about. Looking back on it now, there's no way we could have been the only ones to see it. It wasn't that late at night, and it was over a heavily populated suburb of a major city. The idea of this has always scared me more than any sort of possible abduction scenario. I thought about hypnosis, but that scared me too. Plus, I'm not sure if I'd trust the results. I was just a kid then, and I'm not sure if I could trust the hypnotist. What I do know, again, is that there's no way it was just the 3 of us who saw it. We're talking a huge thing hovering in the sky, directly above hundreds of houses, just after midnight on a summer weekend night. But nothing on the news, nothing in the paper, nothing on TV, no words spoken about it again, ever, by anyone. This is a true story. I'm a little older than the average around here, I think, but I know what creepypasta and stuff like that is. This happened, and there's no way I'm the only one who remembers. No way. I can't say for sure what happened to me that night, but here is what I know. I was driving home for the weekend from school at Indiana University. It takes me about 2 hours to get home, and I left Bloomington around 10 p.m. At exactly 10:53 I am on a rural stretch of the 2-lane highway I take home, and I notice what appeared to be flashing lights behind me. I thought, great, I'm getting pulled over. So I turned onto the next country road about a quarter mile from where I noticed the lights. As the car came to a stop and I started to open my glove box to get out my registration and proof of insurance, the lights suddenly disappeared and no car drove past. Now here is where the story takes a turn for the weird, and I am sure you guys will think I'm just making it all up because it really does seem like something straight out of a typical UFO movie or story. The electronics in my car started to go haywire. The radio was randomly changing stations, while the volume kept going up and down, while the dome light and headlights start to flicker and turn off and back on. This was at 10:56 p.m. I start thinking to myself that my battery must be failing, or else I have a short somewhere in the electric system of my car. So I lean down to pop the hood so I can take a look at the battery, and that is the last thing I remember doing. The next thing I know, I open my eyes and see nothing but the night sky full of bright stars, It was a cold night, and it seemed like I had never seen stars that bright in my life. I sat up and looked around, and I saw absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. I was in the middle of a field, surrounded by corn stalks left over from the recent harvest. As I started to come to my senses, I started to freak out. Where am I? Why am I asleep in the middle of a field? Where is my car? I got up and started walking toward the distant headlights I could see from a road about half a mile away. When I got to the nearest intersection, I looked at the signs which read 350 North and 50 West. I was half a mile away from my car, which was just right off the main road. I started walking toward the headlights I could see on the main road. When I arrived at my car, all the lights were out. My battery had died, which struck me as odd because I couldn't have been gone for that long. I looked at my phone, which was sitting on the passenger seat, and the time was 2:17 a.m. Over 3 hours had passed since I turned off onto the side road for the flashing lights behind me. I remember sitting in my car completely dumbfounded, wondering what the hell had just happened to me. After about half an hour of just sitting there, I remembered that my battery was dead, so I got on the phone and called AAG to come out and give me a jump. It took about an hour for them to get out to me, since I was a good distance away from the nearest town, during which time I just sat in silence, running through the possible scenarios in my head concerning what had just happened. To this day, I couldn't tell you what really happened to me that night. I have only shared this story with one other person, my uncle. I am sure people would either look at me like I'm crazy or they would call bullshit on the whole story. And I can't blame them. If somebody came to me with a story like that so closely mirrors the stereotypical encounter story, I probably wouldn't believe them either. I don't even know where to start. Maybe the most enlightening experience I had. I used to talk about these things that were happening to anyone who was willing to listen. I've become a little more reserved from being hurt a few times, opening up. It seemed to me like the more I would try to inform people about what happened, the more experiences there would be. There was this guy named Adam that I was hanging out with for a while. I took him home from a friend's apartment one night at around 3 to 4 a.m., which was normal for that time period, since I was sleeping until 4 in the afternoon. I had been trying to talk to people about this stuff non-stop, and when I took him to his house, we chilled and smoked in the driveway for a minute. All of a sudden, an intensely bright light appeared over the hill that was less than a mile from his house, and we were both immediately drawn to it. I started looking around, seeing if there was anything else happening, and I looked up. Above us were 2 orbs pivoting around, and I drew his attention to them. I told him that I felt like they showed us that bright light to try and gauge our responses, and we just looked up and waved at the orbs. Then, all of a sudden, the sky came to life. There must have been 3 dozen orbs flying around in every which direction, and over the horizon streaks started taking off. It was definitely a spiritual experience. I have a couple more experiences with orbs. I was on a friend's back porch who lived near me, and he and I were both very interested in the topic. We were sitting there chatting, and this bright light, maybe a couple 100 yards away, starts drifting across the sky very slowly, very low, and silent. As it drifted, it brightened in intensity to the point we couldn't look directly at it. It was an orange light in color. It stayed lit a couple of seconds, and then slowly faded out, and we just looked at each other in awe. That happened there a couple more times, once upon request. Naturally, people made fun of me for claiming that these things happened to me. We were trying to explain to a couple of friends what happened when we saw the orb, and they didn't believe us. So I said, "You want to see a UFO? Come over here." No idea why. I was just feeling cocky. We get to the back porch where the first experience happened, and sure enough, that light brightened up again and did the same thing. I've only had people with me for a few experiences. I've developed my own thoughts about what has happened to me, its origins, and why me. After my first big experience happened with the 5 crafts, I jumped online and started doing research. I feel almost as if I was led to this. I found this thing called the Raelian belief, or intelligent design. It basically states that ETs seeded human life on Earth through genetic manipulation, and we will eventually become so advanced that we'll seed life on other planets. It is very closely aligned with the ancient astronaut theory, in stating that ETs have played a role in the development of human civilization in multiple ways. The way the Raylene belief started is from this dude Rael, who claims he saw a UFO land in a dormant volcano in the 70s. He says he approached the craft and out came a small humanoid like ET that educated him about how all of our religions were wrong and stemmed from ancient ET misinterpretation. When I looked at it closer, when you think of instances like Ezekiel being lifted into the heavens, chariots of fire in the sky, or the light that guided Moses through the desert, it's not difficult to attribute it to ETs. The interesting thing was that the ET told him that every major prophet of every religion was manipulated by ETs via thought implantation to instill spiritual beliefs that compelled them to share their beliefs and spirituality with others. Not saying that I believe any of this, but the more that I spread the word about my experiences, the more they seem to happen. I can probably write a book about all this.